Welcome to a very special edition of Training Group Live. On deck today, two area directors, Scott Arnburg, Area 3. You have to say hi.
Good evening.
And Frank Rizzi from Area 7.
How you doing?
Good, man. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Well, all right, I'll be real. We're recording this on the 23rd of September. The minutes dropped, I think, yesterday.
Friday afternoon.
Yes.
I was on the range, and I just the next thing when I open social media, I see caps, memes. I've got a bunch of DMs. I had a phone call, a voicemail, and some text messages. People are blowing up, talking about the minutes. Of course, they appear a bit vague. And so anyway, that's where you guys come in. We're going to talk about it.
Well, Joel, I appreciate you doing this kind of on short notice. One of the complaints that the board gets all the time is lack of transparency. So yeah. Frank and I talk fairly often, not just about USPSA stuff. I would say Frank is one of my new friends. We met through the board, and we decided to reach out to you and try to provide what clarity we can. I do want to preface this that my statements are based on my memory. I will not comment on anything out of executive session, and the feelings and views are expressed are mine alone. I'm not speaking for the org or any other board member.
Ditto.
Makes sense. Yeah, you said that so well. I just say ditto too.
Ditto. Yep.
Yeah, this is good. So I would like to just roll through the minutes, kind of talk about everything. I'll ask questions, and if I ask questions I'm not supposed to ask, or that you guys can't answer or aren't able to, then you can answer what you can, or tell me if that's something that you aren't able to talk about. Because obviously I don't want to get you guys jammed up or in trouble. So
yep. Well, and if you see me looking off to the side here, it's because I have several other displays, and I've got the minutes up, so we can.
You're good. I've got the minutes up also. Yeah, this is good. All right. Well, where do we start? Old business? Is there anything in there worth talking about? Do we want to start the new business? What do we want to talk about first?
Well, I just think we start through the top. There were a few director reports. Donna usually gives us some good information, updates on the how the org's going. Membership's up, activity fees are up. We're going the right direction from an activity level, and it's really heartening to see.
Mm-hmm.
I know at my club, ammo's getting cheaper. Primers are getting cheaper. We're starting to see more and more people. Carry optics is still the biggest division. I know the Tuesday before the sectional, we had 5 new people out of a 40, 48, 49 people match. They all had optics on their guns. So, I know back in the day, production was the new person division. I think that's changed. I can't think of a manufacturer currently that doesn't offer an entry level 9mm pistol that's not optic ready.
Yeah. Can you say, I thought you gave me the figure, Scott, that it was 39% of
a little over 30
shoot CO?
So far this year, a little over 39% of the scores recorded. Jake does a really good job of providing us that information, and a little over 39% of the scores recorded so far this year have been in carry optics. From my club personally, limited optics, it's getting a little bit of a following, but right now it hasn't brought in any new people. It's just taken people from carry optics and open. The limited shooters still shoot limited, mostly I think because they shoot 40.
Mm-hmm.
And the diehard open guys still shoot open, but there's a handful of staccato. We've got a couple Nighthawks. Just they are all very high end guns. So to see that as an entry level, I think is a bit of a stretch.
I agree. Well, my 2 cents, not this podcast is talking about me. I would really love to see production optics be carry optics. So basically a stock, a production pistol, 15-round magazines that fit flush. So I don't have to fiddle around with extendo base pads and some special follower that you have to load the magazine a certain way to get it to feed. and then do everything that everybody has right now in carry optics, the 140, all that kind of stuff, the slide cutting, move all that stuff to limited optics. I think that would be super boss.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of different people. One of the suggestions I got was, or I've gotten from several people is, if we're going to revamp them, bring the weight limit back down in carry optics, and make limited optics be the true slide mounted optic race gun division where all the heavy muns go.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of all the comments I've got, your opinion, Joel, is pretty much the majority of the comments that I've got. There's not enough distinction between carry optics and limited optics.
Mhm.
They would rather see us roll back carry optics to more of like a production optics. So.
Well, I'm not a gear tinkerer, so I actually am annoyed that I have to message Henning Walgren's one of my homeboys. I have to message him. It's like, hey, which follower in spring do I need to buy to give me the best guts to get the highest capacity? Because 21 plus one's not going to be enough. People need 23 or 24 plus one, and it's just it's annoying. And then for the new competitor, I'm getting on a tangent, but that's an extra $40 to $60 you're adding on the price of every magazine. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And also to echo Scott's comments, I'm seeing the same thing pretty much at my club. We're seeing a lot of people start to come back to shoot. And, my match registration opened tonight. I opened it 2 weeks before my match. It opened at 7:00. By 7:40, it was sold out, and currently I have about 100 people on the list.
Holy
Wow.
crap! Let's go.
How many slots?
Well, normally I do 75. I have 5 squads of 15, and I tend to add one more because it's always, this one signed up late, that one signed up late, and I got to get my club members in first. That's
right.
All of our club members, I never turn them away. So they'll always sign up late, and all right, now we're going to 16-man squads. So, and yeah, as of right now, I have 98 people signed up for the match.
And is that once a month?
Once a month, yeah, first Saturday of the month.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I feel bad sometimes too because I have regular shooters who are not members that sign up late, and it's like, I'm sorry, and I do what I can, but I got to go in order.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, in my area anyway, in this area, we're definitely seeing the numbers are skyrocketing. So we're getting a lot of people shooting the matches. They're coming back in force.
Excellent.
So Frank, do you think the Supreme Court striking down California's magazine ban will trickle over to your state?
Oh, I pray. I hope to God, because 10 rounds is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, because you have how many states in your area? Like four or five?
Well, I can tell you every state there's only 2 states in Area 7 that are not magazine restricted.
Okay.
So yeah, we have New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. That's Area 7.
So that could be huge if that carries over, because they struck it down both based on Bruin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could definitely be huge, and that would help my area out tremendously, because right now, if we want to shoot an area championship that's not restricted, we have to go to 2 states, either New Hampshire or Maine. So all of the other states have some type of restriction. I believe Vermont has a exemption for competition, but from what I understand, there aren't too many clubs in Vermont that are willing to host a match. So there's only about 4 clubs in all of Area 7 that are big enough to host a match anyway.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That sounds like Area 3. There's only a handful of ranges that will work well. Some would, there's a handful that work well. We have some hope. There's a 30, whether it's 30 bays maybe being built out in Rapid City in the next year or two.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of that.
They're supposed to break ground in about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, guys, talk to me about committee reports. What does that mean, or do I care?
Well, USPSA has quite a few committees, and this is where any committees that have reports to be presented are allowed there. Not very often, don't you think, Frank? Recently, we haven't had a whole lot of committee stuff.
Yeah, we haven't had too many committee reports. So basically, as Scott said, we have a bunch of committees. You know, the finance committee, audit committee. You know, we have a historical preservation committee. There's a whole bunch of committees, but not everyone has something to report every month.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Listen,
I'm on the fee structure committee. So the last time we had a report from the fee structure committee was actually at the meeting where we increased the dues. So the
Mhm.
fee structure committee presented a report to the board, and the board decided to not take those recommendations. Um,
we know how
as
that story
yeah,
ends.
we know how that story ends. So, but yeah, so anytime committee has a report to present, that's the time that it would be presented. But it's not on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So like you know, if the fee structure committee didn't meet or the bylaw committee didn't meet, then there'd just be no report.
Okay. Uh, let's see. RNOI discipline appeals process. Anything worth
There's
discussing there?
there was been a push to update that. There wasn't anything presented.
Okay. There's a 990 question, 11A.
One of the questions on the 990 is, has the board approved this prior to filing? And we tabled that. We did not quite get to it this meeting.
Okay.
We have an extension filed, so we still have time. And I just want to kind of talk about that a minute. The interwebs has been a fire that we're doing that to hide that. We're not. The information on the 990 is basically the same as what was in the audited financials that has been released as far as profit and loss. There is some other information on there, but this is not some scheme of the board to try to hide that. We just weren't ready in time for the normal deadline, and the normal extension is, I believe, it's 6 months.
Yeah, I
So
think that goes to November 15th. Am I correct?
yeah, I
Yeah.
believe that sounds right. So there's no grand scheme to hide things, at least on my part. I think Frank would say the same.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing nefarious going on. We're not trying to hide anything. We just needed more time to review it, basically, is what happens. And it's extremely common because we do that at my club too. We always file for an extension and we go to the November deadline to make sure everything is right. We cross our I's, dot our T's. We go over it multiple times,
Mhm.
before it's presented and voted on. We don't want to mess around with the IRS. We want to
Right.
make sure it's right.
And we want to file an extension is a normal process that's
Yep.
it's allowed by the IRS. We want to file it once and have it be right, because amendments and refiling can trigger audit, and if nothing else, we don't want to pay for that.
Yep. No, I'm sold. I'm the treasurer of our gun club proper, and we have an extension filed for us also. We have a CPA or I'm not good with the terms, but an accountant that does an actual accountant that does our book work, and she filed an extension also. Let's see, category qualifications and member discipline. Is there either one of those that's worth talking about?
We didn't
So
really talk about.
I requested the category qualifications be added to the agenda. And the reason is I wanted to discuss how members would qualify for each category. For example, the junior division is very obvious. You have to be under a certain age to qualify for the junior division.
Mhm.
And we also have the law enforcement, active law enforcement. Some of the things are very clear. One of them, it's been brought up to me by actually a couple of my members in my area. They've brought it up to me. The ladies division needs some tweaking. So I wanted to discuss that.
And I think IPSC is working on something, and I suspect our end will be to copy whatever they do. Because I guess outside of the U.S. there has been some shenanigans. Is kind of what I have drawn from my conversation with competitors
Okay.
and the categories.
Mhm.
Kind of like we've seen in swimming.
Yes, exactly.
What
Yeah.
a world we live in.
Right.
How about member discipline? I assume if that was a specific issue, that wouldn't be discussed in the minutes, obviously. Is there anything with that to discuss?
Nothing I would want to comment on.
Okay.
I agree.
We move on to new business.
We were-
Let's see. What's
The
our
990, we already talked about that.
Mhm.
The The vote on the bylaw change, that's down below. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
2024 nationals, that's down below. We'll talk about that. And I will not comment on any employee stuff.
Okay. That's fair enough. All right. So let's see. Discussion about corporate name change. I've seen some talk about this online. Do you guys want to comment? The short version I understood was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What you're seeing here is these things weren't on the agenda. So this is us adding stuff to the agenda. So we had to add the corporate name change. And then I wanted to have some talk about a recommendation that the finance committee put forth. And so we had those done. And so those were added to the agenda. So then we approved the agenda next. And then we talk about the president's report. Ted talked about the Open and PCC Nationals. It was, Frank was there. I'll let him speak to the match.
Yeah, so the president discussed the Open PCC National match, and I actually worked the match. I worked stage 15. So I had a great time working the match. Not so much shooting the match. I had some gun issues.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's open. So,
exactly.
You didn't shoot a rifle?
No, I did not shoot a rifle. New York City frowns upon us owning those types of rifles.
Oh,
so
and that's not me hating on the PCC. I just want to be clear. I own one. I've tried it. I'm just not willing to give up the pistol for it.
Yeah, I have nothing against it at all.
It just so happens I have a rifle that I've been dry firing a bit tonight. The only difference is mine's in the proper caliber. But anyway,
is that a low power variable? You don't have a red dot?
Well, I'm shilling. Vortex sent me some stuff to try. So they sent me a 1-10 razor, so I'm gonna mess around with that a little bit.
I've got a Strike Eagle on mine.
Cool.
The 1-6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, since we only have 100-yard bays, I don't really need 10.
Nah. But I mean, hey, if they make a 10, then I need it. So.
Well, right, more.
That was what they sent me. More is better. Sorry, Frank. Continue.
That's okay. So overall, I thought the match was very, very well done. I thought the stages were well designed. We had 3 people design the stages for the match, which I thought is a great idea. So there are 3 separate zones. You had the 1, 2, and 3, or A, B, and C, however they did it. So each different person designed the stages for each zone. So each zone kind of had a very different feel to them. We had one zone where, if there was a corner, you had to go there and find a target, because I guarantee there was going to be a target there. And there was a lot of failures to shoot at this match. First time I'd done it in quite a few years. I went right by a target that I forgot was there. So it was challenging. And a couple of the comments I got was the way the stages were designed, there was no advantage or disadvantage whether you're shooting open or PCC.
That's good.
So, yeah, it was kind of fair to both divisions. I thought the match went very well. While I was there, I didn't get any complaints, honestly. So I mean, other than the heat, the heat was horrendous. I really don't like the heat. We were out there in 100-degree heat for a couple of days, so it was brutal. But I mean, overall, the match went very well.
You should go to Joel's range. It's all the humidity in Nebraska drains into the bottom 4 bays.
Yeah, in about June, July, and August, it's lovely.
So, yeah. But yeah, like I said, it went well. We had quite a few area directors actually working the match, which was cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, Bruce 1 worked the match. I worked the match. Bruce 6, Bruce Wells, Bruce Gary, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And Ted was able to work the match also. He worked one of these stages, I believe, next to me. So yeah, it was nice.
Very cool. I like it. Let's see. So, am I skipping ahead? Manager and director changes making to month-end processes.
Donna's rolling out some initiatives to speed up the reporting process and make everyone's lives easier. She's worked real hard on those. I don't know that I have a lot other to add to that.
Okay. I see 2024 nationals are on the list. Are those, and forgive me if it's already online and I don't know, are those all released for location and dates for next year yet?
No, they haven't been officially released yet. So
Yeah.
we can't talk about location and dates just yet until they're released. But we did have a discussion on how many nationals to hold, and stuff like that, basically. So
And
we already had a bunch of contracts in place for nationals next year. Vendor contracts, we had food contracts, we had contracts, where the banquet's going to be. So a lot of the stuff was already done. But we wanted to discuss it because of the sheer cost of nationals.
Sure.
Every nationals loses money, and it loses quite a bit of money. So at the current pace that we're at, as everyone knows that they've seen the audit report, we had some financial losses.
Mm-hmm.
So we were on pace to have the same type of year.
Oh, that's smart. At least you're looking at those things.
Yeah, we are looking at them.
Yeah, that was a hard decision.
Yes.
I've been really pounding the drum about cost cutting and spending wisely, and we were kind of stuck with the decision of break agreements, potentially damage relationships, or reduce and save cost, and you got to weigh what's the right answer, what's the best for USPSA this year and USPSA for the next 10 years or the next 20 years or the next 40 years. And it was a hard discussion. The board that is three bubbles there, but it was a significant amount of time as we work together to try and come to a solution that both safeguarded the future of the sport and acknowledged what's already in place and the relationships we have. So I think we made the best decision we could in the current set of circumstances. 2025 planning needs to start soon, and hopefully we can get the membership support and understanding that nationals are great. We want to make them better, but we can't necessarily do them the exact same way that we have been doing them.
Right.
That makes sense.
If you see there in bubble number 3, so we had a detailed discussion regarding whether or not to have 2 or 3 national events. So that was the major discussion, and quite honestly, that discussion lasted about 90 minutes. That's how seriously we took this, and how seriously, we went into a lot of detail about the matches and the contract. Again, the contracts are already in place. So we had to break these contracts. It was still going to cost us money, and it would not be good, for the relationships that we have.
For me, it was the relationship mostly,
and that's how I felt also.
There are a handful of ranges in the nation that can hold a nationals, and we need to make sure that we safeguard those relationships and foster them and live up to our side of the bargain always.
Well, and I'm definitely a fiscal responsible guy, so maybe I'll talk a little bit crazy, but nationals should be, in my opinion, the premier event of the year anyway, for people, whether you're middle of the road B class, you're dead ass last D class, or you're a super squad level guy in the hunt to win. Like I think everybody got a chance to go to nationals. I don't know what the number should be, but it should be the premier match, and it should be it doesn't have to be in Hawaii, some destination place, but I mean, we do have to have a premier event for the guys that are training all year. And again, my 2 cents, towards the end of the year, not in the middle of the year and not in June, but to test their skills and who is the very best at that point in time. So anyway, I think it is important that we have nationals.
So Joel, you're king for a day. What does nationals look like under King Joel?
Well, absolutely anything like first or second quarter is a hard pass. I don't care if you have to reschedule other stuff. It's stupid, not going to happen. IPSC nationals and whatever that is, I'm talking crazy. People are going to hate it in March. That's total stupidity. Because here, like, it'll be guys will have to start training if they want to, like, from my club, if they want to go and they're training January or February, there's a very good chance there'll be snow on the ground. Maybe they'll be going to an indoor range because there are guys at my club that are national level death stalkers, and if they want to go, they'll be shooting at an indoor range. There'll be dry training. They'll be starting their season up really early when no one else here is. And then they're going to have to decide, assuming they want to get trained up for that match, come back home. It's cold. Maybe there's snow on the ground. The rest of the season doesn't start up for another 2 months. Did you waste a bunch of ammo and your effort and your time shredding your hands to get really trained up for this, then take a couple months off and then pick it back up kind of what everyone else does? My friend Lane has done one of those earlier in the year and then just kept going hard all year long.
Oof.
So he gets to the point mid-year where he's like, man, like, I don't know. Like, he's just like, I'll talk a little bit about Lane's like 2 goals in life. He wants to be good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and shooting. So like he is a dedicated training machine. So anyway, I'm getting in a tangent, but like he's all about it. So you stretch somebody's season out super long. That's not good. So to me, nationals should be the end part of the year, September, October, something like that, where it is the culmination of their entire year, their entire training, something to train up to. That's the goal match that I really want to do well at. And then in a time of the season where maybe it's a little bit cooler, wherever you decide to have it at, people have all year to train. And then towards that, after that, they come home. It's probably going to start to get the holidays, November, December. Maybe they take an off season if they want to, or if they're in a nice climate, maybe they keep going.
Yeah.
But in my eye, that's what it should look like.
Should it be one nationals? Pick the division you're going to run, or should it be multiple and allow, the same people to enter, multiple divisions?
One national sounds good, but I just don't know that. From what I see, we don't really have a facility that would be good. It seems like to hold that. I don't like turning people away. I don't buy into the fact that you should have to be a Deathstalker to go to nationals. I think all skill levels should be allowed. I mean, D-class people should be allowed to go to nationals the same as a super squad level guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think dividing it up and having a couple of divisions per nationals, the pairings makes the most sense. And then how you pair them has to be smart. Again, probably talk ways people won't like. The last nationals I went to was production and PCC. And it sucked, honestly. There was a lot of very, very risk-averse shooting where I came up with totally dumb stage plans to not do standing loads. There's spots where it's a bunch of steel. So it's like, I'm going to shoot to slide lock here, then move to this position where I can shoot some more stuff. And whatever steel I don't get to, or if there is some, I can still engage them. It wasn't low cap friendly. It wasn't my all-time favorite. So I think the pairings are really important. Like you guys said, if Frank, the match you were at where it's open PCC, the guns, like the stages, both divisions feel like they had a good match.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's important too.
So stage design is very important, I think, when you decide on those pairings.
What would you think about if we have multiple nationals not allowing a competitor enter more than one?
I don't know. I hate to do that because who am I to decide?
Well, I mean, it forces you to pick which one are you really going to focus on and train for. Right now we have, I think, what does it say, Frank, like 1,100 discrete people, 1,200 discrete people out of almost 40,000 that shoot nationals.
I guess I'd be more interested if the match was filled to capacity and we couldn't fit more people in or not. So again, the last nationals I went to, I've got just my short-term memory. There was one day where there was like 5 ghost squads. The match was nowhere near capacity. So they just there wasn't enough people that signed up. Maybe either they don't like production because iron sights and low cap are dumb, or maybe they don't want to shoot rifles, or maybe it was the weekend or whatever. But the match wasn't filled to capacity anyway. So I think being mindful of the pairing, and then hopefully I wouldn't want to turn anyone away. So if there was a way to let people shoot as many as they want to, because they have just as much right to go as I do, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I know this year everything filled with a multi-hundred wait list except for the iron sight one, and then once they added limited optics, it filled within, I think, probably a few hours. Don't you think, Frank? I don't remember if we were told
what I heard.
That. Yeah, as soon as limited optics was announced, I think by the next day the match was full and there was a wait list.
Yeah, and I think it's like 155 people signed up for limited optics now out of that match.
Yep,
I can see that. Yeah. And I've got a bunch of pipe dream ideas. So it's like, hey, if you think you could do better, why don't you volunteer? I get it, but
it's just a discussion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For sure.
So
What about Area 5 submitted the request from a member to cancel all nationals? The
That
request
was
was called out of order.
Yeah, Mr. St. Clair submitted that through his area director, and his area director, Rick, made sure it got at his request, made sure it got on the agenda. It was deemed out of order because the bylaws require us to host nationals. So there's no way for us to cancel them all.
Okay.
Yeah, according to the bylaws, we have to run a national event. So making a motion to not run a national event is a violation of the bylaws, and that's why it was ruled out of order.
Yeah, ruling bylaws out of or ruling motions out of the order. It's a very narrow window. One of them would be a violation of the bylaws. One would be a violation of state and law, state and national federal law.
Okay.
I think that's about it. There's like three or four.
There's a couple other things. So if you make a motion that contradicts a motion that's already been enforced, it could be ruled out of order. So if something was already voted on, it's already happening, and you make a motion against that, it's already in place. So that could be ruled out of order. Other than that, most motions shouldn't be ruled out of order.
Makes sense.
It's a Robert's Rule order. All the commentary that I've read about it, I've done a little research since Monday. Ruling motions out of order should be very, very, very rare.
Yes. And just a quick comment, I actually met Chris at Cariotic National. I had a really, really great discussion with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed my time talking to him. His heart is absolutely in the right place.
Yep.
He really, really loves this organization. Him and his family, they all participate in
Yep.
our sport. So I commend Chris for reaching out to his area director to try to help us, try to make some changes to, move us in the right direction. So I just want to say thank you to Chris. I really appreciate him.
Yeah, I have not met him in person, but I have spoken with him on the phone a couple times. And I would echo Frank's opinion. I believe he has the best interests. Coming from a guy with a forceful personality, he's another one with a forceful personality, and some people take that as aggression or hostility. And I've never gotten that sense from him. He's just passionate about what he believes in.
Yes, he is very passionate.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Last thing before we move on, I understand if you can't discuss it in regards to the 2024 Nationals. As a guy that's helping more and more setting up section level matches, helping out with area level matches, which obviously I wouldn't be picking the date for the area level match. It's nice knowing those dates ahead of time. So I understand if you've got contracts and discussions, but it's like it's tough when people know dates for things and they have it under their hat. Probably a story selfishly. I had the PSTG summit organized for the date that is now IPSC Nationals in Arizona because, well, again, I'll be real. I thought nobody in the right mind is going to host a major match. This is super early. This will be a good time to have the summit. I'll put it in a warm state. It'll be a good preseason tune-up for guys, even if it's a little bit too cold back home. I sent the date out to the group of homeboys they're going to be instructing. Luckily, one of them had already had somebody else was, had the date under their hat. They shared it with this person. He's like, nope, pretty sure IPSC Nationals that weekend. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, nope, that's the date. I'm like, okay. And so I just didn't book it. And then sure enough, like a couple months later, the date was released. So anyway, I understand for some reasons if you can't, but I would love to have, as soon as you can, posting those things.
They should be up very, very soon.
They should be out soon. The discussion on Monday is what I believe delayed those being announced.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So I could see them being out within the next week or so. I would think. I would hope. Yes.
And I don't, Frank, there was some discussion on IPSC Nationals that the range that's hosting it had problems with availability, and that was like one of the very few times.
That's what I heard secondhand.
Yeah. I don't think that was. I think they understand that that's less than ideal. But again, there's very few ranges that can host a match that big. And especially an IPSC match because, different RO training, different poppers, different, so that's, so there's a lot there's an extra layer of logistics for an IPSC match.
That makes sense. I'm just being selfish as a self-centered event organizer person. Like, hey, I need to know when these things are, 'cause I don't want to overlap my stuff with somebody else's.
I definitely feel your pain as someone who also runs matches. I would be upset also if I didn't have dates by now.
Well, another little tangent. I should stop doing these. In the past, the College World Series is a big deal in Omaha. I don't watch sports ball at all, but it's college baseball. It was a very big deal. And for whatever reason, they scheduled our state match, our section match, the same weekend. I told them, like, look, if this happens again, I'm out. I want nothing to do with it. I'm going to tell people, like, like they can stay at my house if they want to, but like hotels are way overpriced.
They quadrupled.
Yeah, I'm like, we can't. My house is filled to capacity, trying to save the homeboys from staying in like overpriced hotels. Like, this cannot happen again ever.
The same hotel room I was looking at went from a little over 100 a night to a little over 400 a night for the exact same rooms.
Yep, I'm like, hey, this event has to get scheduled before we pick a date. It cannot be the weekend before, the weekend after. I don't care who picked their date first. We are going to be we will move if we have to not have the same date they are, because it's I'm sleeping in my own bed either way. But obviously
because they do all the playoffs, and so those teams are there for a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time, and all the hotels know that they'll pay it, whatever it is.
Yep.
It's kids. Parents spend for kids.
And be very mindful of what other events are going on, and try to be, picking the right time to be mindful of the people coming to our matches, their time and money. Anyway. Next on the list, there's a legal. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Frank and I have mini me's. When's yours? Where's yours at?
My mini me?
Yeah, Frank and I have kids.
No, negative. I'm barely enough. I could barely responsible enough to take care of myself. Are you kidding me? I couldn't even handle it.
You don't even have pets, do you?
No.
No.
My girlfriend has a cat that's super cool, but no, I don't. Yeah. I don't need any pets.
That's the best way to have a cat. You don't have to take care of it.
Well, sometimes I was gone for like a week and a half with coming home, being home for like 12 hours just recently. Like, I don't want to be responsible for that or need to. I would feel bad if I had a pet I wasn't taking care of. So
yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this corporate name change thing. You want to just give me the short term or the short version of what happened?
I think we'll just let that statement stand at face value.
Okay.
There's some things have come up since the minutes posted that I just don't feel comfortable commenting on.
Okay. And if you read through it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. We had to vote on a name change, a very minor, but we have been assured that we are in good legal standing with the state of Delaware now, and it's all been remedied. Obviously, we'll have to go through and retitle a few things.
Makes sense. Let's see. Director of Information Technology, different registration process, and auto renew thing for membership. Let's see, new member experience. Anything to talk about there? It seems pretty benign stuff.
I haven't seen the new member experience, but from what I've heard, it's pretty exciting. I can't wait to see it and see what Donna and her team and Rick have all worked on. We've been hearing about that for several meetings, right, Frank?
Yeah, it's been several meetings. Rick has been really, working his butt off on this stuff. He's probably one of the most overworked employees in the organization. So yeah, that's one of the main projects that he's been working on, a new member experience. It's basically kind of like, I believe it's like a web-based experience for new members, so they can go there and they can get the right information. Basically kind of like an introduction for new members. And I'm not even sure. We haven't gotten a lot of details on it, but yeah, he's been working on it for quite a while. So I'm really looking forward to it, and it's a good thing, something that we could provide to our members, something else that we can give back to our members, because that's what we are. We're a member-based organization, and the more we can give back to our members, the better it is for us. You
I
know,
agree.
yeah, some of the other things that he was working on, an auto renew option. So every year, if you have an annual membership, you won't have to go in every year and actually, remember to pay your dues. You can
That's
set up, yeah,
a good way to retain members also from a financial standpoint. Like, that's smart for the org.
That's the way everybody does business now. You get Netflix and Disney Plus and all these different. Everything is subscription based. Service. So that's basically what we're looking to go to.
Smart.
So right, you sign up for your membership, and if you want to, you check a box, and it'll auto renew every year or however you set it up.
Makes total sense. I do the same thing.
Yeah, it makes it easier for the members, so they don't have to remember to pay their dues.
Yeah, like, I mean, I have Netflix. If I have to get out my credit card every single month to sign up for Netflix, there's going to be some point where you're like, yeah, I don't know how bad I need this anymore.
Yep. And he also discussed the new process that we had for nationals, the registration process, which was extremely easy. Everyone that signed up for the nationals, they got a link. They got an email, I don't remember how, maybe a week before, a couple of days before, I don't know. It was before the match. You got an email to pre-register for the match. So you opened up the email, you went in there, you did the survey that's required by every member for shooting. You did all the registration, and everything was done. And I believe it gave you a QR code after you were done. So you walked up to registration with your phone and your QR code. He scanned it, gave you your shirt, because everyone got a TechWear shirt, which was pretty cool, and you were done.
Oh,
So
wow.
you went through registration like in seconds, and it worked out very, very well. So that's one of the other things that Rick was working on. That was a total complete success.
I'm glad you clarified. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't hear of any complaints as far as registry. There was no backups, no issues, so it went very, very smooth. He did an excellent job on that.
I'm glad you clarified which registration. I was thinking the registration to sign up for the match.
No, this is the registration when you got to the match.
I got you, like a check-in process.
Right, the check-in process, right? Because I don't know if you remember, we had a survey you had to fill out, and you had some paperwork waivers to sign, and all this.
Yeah, and then the video you get to watch, and
all this stuff. So it streamlined the registration process for all the competitors, and it worked out very, very well.
Love it.
Yeah, similar to what we do for the Iowa sectional, but ours is text-based. Andrew is set up.
Yeah. No, it's so smart, because you just sign in electronically when you get there. You don't have to go to the clubhouse, the chapter house to get your printout of your gadgets and stuff, your sheets. You just show up at your stage. Let's see. Area 6 Steel Challenge Championship. I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah. Area 6 happened. This
sorry,
go
ahead.
It's Zach, right?
Yes.
So Zach presented you to the Area 6 Steel Challenge happened. And right now they haven't had anyone in Area 4 that has stepped forward. No club has stepped forward to host a Tier 3. Because starting this year, we've started a slot policy for World Speed Shoot. Zach has worked with his team to put this on the ground, and Area 4 is the only one that has not had a Level 3 Steel Challenge and doesn't have one scheduled for the 2023 calendar year.
Oh.
And so the hopes was that that the people seeing the minutes in Area 4 will see that, and maybe someone will come forward.
Yeah.
And try to get one, because there are parts of Area 4 that are warm all the time. So
sure. Well, I'm talking about myself again. Sorry, I can't help it. It was day 1 today of competitor shooting for our Cornhuskers Steel Challenge match. I shot the match as just one division of my CO gun as staff. I didn't know. I couldn't have told you what listed all the stages before I got to the match that day. I just made up orders as I went or talked to the other guys in the squad. So I'm not a big Steel Challenge person. It's very interesting. There's a way different demographic of people. Like, for my local club, I know some of these people are local. I probably knew 5% of the people I RO'd today. So it's kind of fun seeing new people, definitely a more diverse age group where you're not sprinting around, and we had 4-hour blocks. They made it through all 8 stages. So anyway, I could see the draw.
You're a GM that works matches and ROs?
I know. I just
Are
don't
you
know any
are you
better.
a unicorn?
I just don't know any better. No, it was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah. But you got a great crew there.
We do. I mean, I'm patting on the back. Your club's the same way. It's like the match director for this match, Todd. My exact words, like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I can go get lunch if you want me to get lunch. I'll cut boards if you need. I'll be on a stage. I can run the timer. I can run the device. Whoever you want to pair me with is fine. There was like nobody at our club that I'm like, oh, don't pair me up with that person. Just like wherever you want me to go is fine.
Did he have his electric bike?
Yes.
That thing is so cool.
Well, he walks so much. His like feet are always messed up by the end of it, just from being on his feet all the time and wore out. So it made sense. But yeah, the electric bicycle is pretty cool.
Dude, I had 100,000 steps the week of Area 3.
And that was with you having a golf cart.
That was with me having a golf cart. And then for the sectional, we didn't start setup until Wednesday, so I only had about 80,000.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Well,
it's rough. I mean,
yeah.
nationals, I did more than that. Between 2 days of shooting and 3 days of working the match, my watch told me I walked 45 miles.
Yep.
So yeah, by Sunday night, I had enough.
Well, 100,000 is 50, so
okay.
So you would have been in the high 80s, 90s.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah. The day after Area 3, the day after the sectional, I got back home and I did nothing. I took my 16-year-old son and got him his full driver's license, and so now I'm paying for 2 teen drivers on the road.
Oh,
all the people that listen to this that have kids will know how expensive and painful that is.
Oh, that's what I have to look forward to. My oldest is 12.
Yeah.
So that's taxing on your emotions, patient, and pocketbook all at the same time.
Yeah, well, it's $600 a month for insurance.
Oh my gosh.
And that's only liability on their cars. I mean, I've got 5 cars on the road, so.
Oh. Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, I only have a cat that I have to help partially support. So. All right, next on the list, let's see. So, table the 990 we already talked about. The bylaw change that we already talked about with the roles. So it's got the president's. Let's see, president, board of directors. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this was the bylaw change to remove the range officer requirement for the president's role.
And that has been removed?
It has not.
Has not. Did not pass.
Has not. So any bylaw changes require a 3/4 vote, and they have to be published at one meeting and then not voted on until the next meeting to give the membership time to give feedback to the board.
Well, this is of particular interest. So considering the presidential elections, you're telling me if Yeeman wins the presidential election, he will not be allowed to be president of USPSA? Unless they, I guess, reinsert his RO cert.
No, that's not necessarily the case. He does have a, if you check back in the minutes, I think it was May, there was a motion made that he can appeal the board prior to the end of 2023 to have his RO reinstated.
Oh, okay. I apologize if I missed that.
This was a, I don't know, Frank, how do you describe why we went down this way?
So there was some discussion among the board and also a lot of comments from the membership that one person, the DNROI, has the ability to remove someone from the board.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right. So I mean, it's become common knowledge, and that was a result of an unintended consequence of the previous bylaw change
when they put January of 21.
Right. So when they put this in there, they had very good intentions, I think, but they didn't take into account that this could possibly happen. This is something nobody thought of, and I wouldn't have thought of it either, to be very honest with you. But now we know it was an unintended consequence of that bylaw change, that if someone on the board, serving on the board, loses their RO certification, effectively they've resigned from the board.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
And there are positions other than board that also require that. So it's interesting. We see this this unintended consequences, and the thought process has been stated to me, and I agree with it. Is we want people in the leadership that understand the sport,
yes,
right? I've in a way to sell attendance, for lack of a better term, to the level 1 range officer course is to say, hey, if nothing else, it'll make you a better competitor. What game that can you think of that not knowing the rules better will make you worse, right? So
Yeah. Plus, you want to be a good bro at your club and able to like help out.
yeah,
That's the way I say it to
I've
people.
kind of felt the same way. I mean, if you're going to be in a position where you're going to be able to vote on the rules, you should know the rules
I agree.
before you could vote on changing them.
yeah,
So I really don't think it was uh, a bad decision to put that in the bylaws. However, we now know of the unintended consequence of that. So that's why Area 8 came up with the suggestion of removing it from the bylaws to take away that unintended consequence. There are a number of other ways that we can go about fixing this. Um, that was one of them, and probably the quickest one to put into place. Just remove it altogether from the bylaws. So, and that's what was presented. It was seconded and voted on, and as Scott said, you need a 3/4 majority to pass, and that did not pass. So
Okay.
currently, the bylaws stay in place the way they are.
All right. I think it's recording again. The recording went kind of wonky. I think I know where it went wonky at, so I'm just going to pick it up where we're getting to the good stuff at least. This is where I'm going to start this back up, and hopefully you guys can hear me now.
Yep.
Frank, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Stupid Skype. Just when it was getting good. All right. So I want to talk about the committee reports for the Finance Committee Chair. So this goes to a motion to immediately remove Ted Murphy as president of the organization and appoint the vice president to serve as president, pursuant to the bylaws to faithfully fulfill the duties of the president. This was motioned by Scott, seconded by Frank. Then the motion was called out of order due to this not being on the agenda, which sounds bogus considering what we talked about earlier with calling something out of order. Then I see immediately, of course, we go into executive session, motioned by Area 2 Layton, seconded by Mel. So I mean, it's like Harry and Lloyd or Bert and Ernie, wherever one goes. The second one's not far behind. So I have to assume, again, this is just my guess, they went into executive session to yell at you guys, and it looks like that lasted quite a while.
Yeah. And
then motion to end executive session after the ass chewing's over, the yelling or whatever. What can you guys say about this, or what do you want to say?
well, I can't obviously comment anything that happened in executive session.
Of course not. What a coincidence.
The minutes are a little. I mean, the motion was the motion was made. Went into executive. The actually motion ruled out of order wasn't until we came out. I believe that was done in open session was when it was ruled out of order.
Okay.
And so in my mind, this was on the agenda. I had asked at the beginning, you see that I asked to add a finance committee to the agenda, and that was approved and voted on and added. Back on July 25th, I mean, if you go back through the minutes for July 25th, the finance committee presented a report. It was 3 pages long. I shared my screen. I read pretty much the entire report verbatim. The exception was there was a few sections on some of the P&Ls that I had questions on, and Donna, being as efficient as ever, had those questions all answered before the meeting got to, in just a few hours from the time I sent out, well, from the few days I sent out the reports to the meeting, she had cleared it all up. And so I even said during the meeting, hey, there's nothing to talk about here. Donna's answered all of it. So, but I had to send the report prior to the meeting so that it was on the agenda. And came out of that was some recommendations. One of the recommendations was to change the financial advisors for our investment accounts, and this would have some big advantage. The biggest thing is a 60% reduction in the fees we pay. This equates to on the assets we have under management about $24 a day.
Okay.
So not a lot of money, but real money.
That's a savings. Okay.
That's a savings. We were starting the process of developing an investment policy statement for each of the accounts. So USPSA has several investment accounts, and each one of those should have an investment policy statement that says, hey, what are the goals for this account? What are the risk parameters? How much market risk or bond risk or any risk are we willing to take? How much volatility are
Can I
we
put
willing?
this in layman's terms? So like when I do my IRA or whatever, they're like, how much do you want in a high risk, a low risk? What percentage in
Correct.
bonds? What
Correct.
percent in a potential a really high return, but potentially it's very risky?
Correct.
Is that what you're just deciding like how much is really risky, what's low risk, and what's your acceptable like rate of loss or volatility?
Right.
Okay.
And with our current advisor, when I asked for that, when I first got on the investment committee, they don't have it. They don't do it. If we wanted to do it ourselves, then they would be happy to put it on file. So
Okay.
financial advising and investment management is what I do. I have an investment policy statement for every client, every account. It is the cornerstone of how you do business, and more importantly, how you document what the goals and the risk tolerances are for each penny. So the current advisor doesn't do that. This new advisor would do it. This new advisor specializes in nonprofits. I mean, he, without us even paying him a penny, he went out and said, hey, you guys have an Amazon Smiles link on your website. That program's completely closed. It's no longer valid. You should fix that.
It's gone along. I was gone years ago.
He did that on his own. He went out to our website, researched us, found out about us so that he could be a better advisor to our organization, and then said, hey, by the way, you should update this.
Yeah. I like this guy already.
And then we have a more additional services. One of the things that we were working on, and I say we're because we're going to talk about it in a minute. I don't get to do that anymore. Was they were going to create a website and market it to their high net worth individuals that are looking for places to donate money to for tax purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would then have an additional avenue to help gather donations, whether it be highly appreciated stock, life insurance, whatever, to benefit the organization. And I just really like that whole picture. And, I made the statement at the beginning of this because there were some questions. Well, how did you find this guy? Well, I Google searched him because my firm, that would be a clear conflict. They can't work with me. They can't work with any of my partners.
100%.
I didn't even want anyone in Des Moines because I didn't want the perception that maybe I was going down to the office to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
So these people are out of, I believe, Kansas City. Honestly, I don't know. I looked them up. I pulled their broker check. So broker check is a free web service through the SEC, through the government. I think the SEC. Where you can look, have they had any complaints? Have they ever been censured? Have they ever had their licenses revoked or called into jeopardy? I did all that and said, hey, so they've got a clean record. None of the advisors have ever filed bankruptcy. If an advisor files bankruptcy, they have to list it there. So that was all part of the due diligence we did at the front end, and I shared with the investment committee. And so we did so that decision was made. There was a unanimous vote to take on and make this change.
Mm-hmm.
There were some other things, talking about goals again. And then, the one thing that seemed to trigger them not wanting to have this finance committee report as part of the minutes back in July was, I spent some time and I took some heat from this from other board members. If you read over the confidentiality agreement, an area director is allowed to consult with experts. I like to think I'm a pretty smart guy, but I don't know everything, and I know I don't know everything. So some reports, financial reports, legal matters, I consult with experts. I consult with people that this is what they do. This is their livelihood. And to a certain extent, I've had to expend my own resources to take advantage of this. And so I made a speculation on how much our spend over revenue would be for the year, and certain board members took great exception to the estimate I put out there included in this report. And so where's this going? Where am I going with it? Well, I'm going with this is, so we had a motion to change financial advisors. It clearly benefited the org. The thing that I haven't mentioned is, it's been an interesting year in the bond markets, and we've seen for the first time really since '08 that we've had a lot of high profile bank failures. Right.
Yep.
And so FDIC insurance, there's a cap on how much, if the bank goes out of business, how much the government comes in and steps in and makes
like $250,000 per person, per consumer.
Correct. Well, we have a lot more than that in a couple banks.
Okay.
And the change to this new advisor would allow us to have a cash management account at no cost that would not only alleviate that lack of FDIC coverage, it would also give us access to a money market account that I use in my investment portfolio that right now, and this is not investment advice. I can't do that in this forum.
I understand.
But it does pay 5%. So our cash, instead of making, I would guess, a tenth, maybe 1/4%, would be making 5.
Well, plus not being insured is a real big problem.
Not being insured is the big problem.
Because, so I do work for a credit union. I know just enough to be dangerous. I'm not a financial expert by any means, but people purposely have accounts at more than one financial institution to make sure they are covered. Because, yes, if the bank goes under and you're over that, the money is gone.
The money is gone.
There's nothing to be done about it.
We've had that discussion on my club too.
And that's your own fault.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so this solution would take care of all of that.
This is a no-brainer, and you'd actually get a decent return.
And
because
so
the market's good right now.
So what happened is the bylaws list out some authorized signers, and there's some. So anyway, this stuff was motioned, and it was never acted on. And I followed up on it a couple 3 times in emails that went to the entire board and all members of the finance committee. The members of the finance committee are either board members or employees of the org, and so they were all included on all these follow-up emails. And so I felt that motion was. And one of the things Frank and I took heed about is we did talk a little bit before the meeting to make sure we're on the same page, and this was the right thing to do. And that's why I made that motion. The boards, there's only so many ways for them to take action. We had a motion and voted unanimously approved. When there's a failure to take action, the only way to go beyond that, after you've asked a couple different times, is you make another motion. You remove the block.
Yeah.
Could I have telegraphed that more to the board and not surprised them with it? I suppose in retrospect, maybe. I'm not going to say that I'm faultless in this, but what I can say is that I did what I felt was best for the organization. This is not personal. Do I get along? Are the other board members or just people in life? Everyone, we interact with people that, hey, you interact with them. You don't mind spending. It's just like in a match. Every once in a while, you get on a squad with someone that, yeah, today was all right. I may not. If I see them on a squad again, I may change squads. Right. I have no delusions that everyone I interact with every day likes me and wants to spend time with me all the time. So it was I've been on a nonprofit board probably for, I'm going to say 15 years, and I know it's longer than that. And I've had meetings, in-person meetings, where I thought other board members were going to come to blows. And I would still say this was on par with that, other than it's virtual.
Yikes.
So I would say, so I, same as Scott, I've been on a board of a nonprofit my club for 13 years now. I've been the president for the last 6 years. I am a huge proponent of Robert's Rules of Order, and I'm sure Scott can attest to this. I try to follow it to the letter of the law. I studied it. I know it pretty well, I would think. I'm not an expert. I don't profess to be an expert, but I know it pretty well to get by. And that's the reason I seconded it, because that's how you bring a discussion before the board. That's the proper way to do it. You bring a question before the board. If no one else on the board is interested in discussing it, nobody seconds it, and then the question is dead. If the question is seconded, then the debate starts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why I seconded, because I wanted to debate the question at hand. And then we entered executive session.
Of course, that way they could yell at you off the record, of course. Like, you don't have to comment. That was just clearly what was going on.
No comment on that.
Anybody can see what's going on.
Right. So that's why I seconded it. I wanted to have the debate. You know, I thought that Scott's motion had merit and it warranted a debate. I wanted to discuss it civilly and professionally, but that went totally out the window. There was a lack of decorum. Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on that, but a civil discussion did not ensue. And so
I'm reading between the lines well.
There you go.
Does that move us along to the next motion?
Yeah, we exited executive session, so yeah, the next motion was made in open session.
So the next motion on the list is motion to remove Area 3 Director Scott Arnburg from the Finance Committee and add Area 8 Director Russell Fortney. This was motioned by Area 6 Director Bruce Wells, seconded by Area 2 Layton. I mean, I'm being petty probably. I can't help myself, but like, I don't understand how out of touch you would have to be to not realize what you're trying to do if you have any financial awareness whatsoever. I'm probably taking cheap shots, but I've listened to a couple podcasts Bruce Wells was on. He doesn't really think the internet's going to be a thing. And he said for people to get in touch with him, they should come find him at a match to talk to him. It's like, I don't know how you get any more out of touch with reality, society, or current events. But anyway, you guys don't have to comment on any of that. That's my own personal opinion. But I mean, this, judging from somebody, I'm in the financial world, understanding what you're trying to accomplish, and then you being a financial expert, this is what you do for your profession. This makes no sense to me, and it's obviously just whether it says it or not, clearly just a personal vendetta or a disciplinary action more than what's actually best for the organization, would be my personal opinion. So you guys can comment on that or not.
Yeah, it felt like punishment to me. You know, I've been in financial services for over 20 years, started in banking, then went to annuities and been an independent advisor since 2010. Yeah, I'm part of a firm that manages hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, again, I happen to be on a couple. I'm on a couple different types of boards. I'm being on the board of our gun club. Like, hey, if we need something built, I'm going to talk to the guy that's a private contractor, because he knows a lot more about building things and what time of the year and when to lay down cement or when to pour concrete. Like, I don't know what the temperature. Like, I'm not an expert at that. So, aces in their places. It would make the most sense to pick a financial professional to deal with finances. But
yeah, and just a moment, Russell didn't seek that out.
I assumed not.
That was kind of, I mean, I don't know, Frank could tell me if I'm wrong. I think that was kind of, it felt to me like it was kind of thrust on him.
I think that was kind of forced on him.
They just wanted anybody not named Scott, would be my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. It felt that way to me. It felt like punishment.
Perfect. And then we go into another executive session motioned by Russell saying, "What did you just get me into?" Because that happened 1 minute after Russell was just told, "We don't want Scott to do this. You're going to be doing it." So 1 minute later, then we go into executive session. And let's see, that goes for a while. What? Holy buckets. This is going a long time. This is like a 5-hour board meeting. And then executive session ends just after midnight.
Eastern, yeah.
And then 1 minute after all the yelling and screaming and what just happened, because then at 00:03 Eastern time, the exit, and then you adjourn 1 minute later. So after the yelling, screaming, everyone's got their last kicks in, then you call it a night. This is not stuff you said. I'm taking some liberties here, but I'm just filling in the blanks for how things look, considering the timestamps for the executive session are listed.
Yeah.
Taking some artistic liberties, but
yep. And
this
started at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5 hours.
Perfect.
Yes.
5 hours of yelling. Cool.
It was an experience.
Not my first rodeo.
Not mine either.
Nope.
Mind-boggling to me. Well, go figure. All those executive sessions at the end, and nothing came out of them. So, anything else you guys want to talk about? I guess it's where you want to leave it. I don't know what else there is to say, I guess.
I don't know what else there is to say. It was, I'm not giving up. I'm here for the long term. The Area 3 members voted me in. They voted me in because I believe they want change, and they want, there's, Frank and I have talked about this. It seems like we jump from fire to fire to fire. My expertise is on the finance. I'll make myself available to Russell to help as much or as little as he wants. But there is, I think, a change coming. We've got the Area 6 and presidential elections that are going on. Those folks will take office, I think, January 1st. And one of the things the president gets to do is nominate a vice president and reset committees. So we'll see what comes up of that. And I'm not saying I have any foreknowledge. I have not, I have no idea. I have no idea who's going to win. I have zero knowledge of the election. We'll let Frank speak. I have seen nothing. I have no idea. In all the other elections that I've done, the board typically finds out a business day or two after the voting closes, and we find out about a few minutes before it ends up on the website. I have seen nothing, no indications that I have not been communicated any interim results, any turnout numbers, nothing.
Yeah, the same goes for me. As far as I know, the voting ends, I believe, on the 30th.
30th. Yep.
Yeah, a week from today, and we officially get the results on Monday the 2nd.
Yeah.
So that's when we'll know. And again, to echo Scott's comments, as far as I know, nobody knows the current results of the election or how they're going or anything like that. So to dispel some of those rumors, I don't believe that's the case.
I've seen nothing to indicate that, and we've been through a couple of 2 elections, I think, since March, since I've been on.
Yep.
So no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll add my 2 cents. I'll tell a Scott story that, well, maybe Scott won't appreciate. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe he'll be like, why did you have to say that? So, I mean, like Scott lives close to me. He's a couple hours from me. There'll be times where we're at a match or something, and I'll like take a selfie. I'll be like, hey, Scott, if you post this, people are going to hate this just that you're in the same picture with me. Are you okay with me posting this? Like knowing that makes you a target. and Frank, not to leave you out in the cold. Like Scott, you and I've been friends for a long time, 10 years, whatever, a long time. So, and I know enough about Scott. So I mean, that full disclosure, like I am friends with Scott. This is kind of headache Scott doesn't really need. He's already financially successful. He has a very successful club with sellout matches. Being an area director really is headache you don't need. And in my personal opinion, like you not being an area director would be better for your life as far as your stress, workload, time management, your finances are good to go. This is all stuff you really don't need. But anyway, I appreciate that you're still willing to do this despite, well, it appears people that don't want you there like yelling at you. And that's the feedback I've heard from a lot of other people also. Oh, and for both you guys, Frank, you also, obviously, not to leave you out in the cold, but, appreciate you doing something where from the outside looking at it, it's 2 against everyone and, getting singled out and that kind of stuff. I've been in board meetings where I've asked questions that have caused people to not appreciate me. So I understand the shoes you're in. I'm not envious of that. So.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I appreciate that, Joe. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I really don't need this either, to tell you the truth. My day starts at 4 a.m. every day. I get to work an hour early just so I can respond to emails and do this stuff. And I have my own club to run. I run my own matches. I run a level 2 match. I'm the president of my club. I have my own family, work full time. So, and I still managed to get this stuff done. So I don't need it either. I got into this because I really love the sport. I really love this organization. I want to see it do well. I want to see it succeed. Despite what some people say, we don't want to see the organization burn. We want to see it be extremely successful. I really love the sport, and I love everybody in the sport. As much as the drama that's been going on now, I really hate to see it. It's really disheartening. It's unfortunate, but you know what? It's I guess it's stuff we got to go through to move on, to move forward. We need to move this organization in the right direction. We need to move forward. And I'm just looking forward to the future. Honestly, that's where I am now. I'm was it an optimist? I really feel that we could turn this around, and we could look forward into the future, and we could become a very successful organization, even though it doesn't look like it right now. So, and I especially love the people in this sport. That was one of the greatest parts about working nationals. I got to talk to all these people coming through. I got to, meet all the different people, and I really, really love the people in this sport. I truly do. So, and that's why I do it. So,
dude, I get it. Without like USPSA, I don't know what I would do with a lot of my free time, or I mean, like pretty artistic. So like shooting and training people and meeting people at matches, that's a large percent of my time.
Yeah, it's and I want to take a moment to thank everyone. I believe I've answered all the messages. If I haven't, I'm sorry, but all the emails and phone calls and DMs and messages of support that I've gotten, it's a lot. Ever since Friday, my phone really hasn't shut up. I mean, even from your little Instagram post just a little bit ago, my phone has been going crazy.
Mine too. Figure.
So, yeah, it's really nice. And it's some of the people that some of the response has been, is this really true? Especially with the finance committee, did they really remove you? Yeah, they really removed me. So. Yeah, I'm with you too, Frank. I don't know what I would do. I'm sitting here as we're talking, and I will this year. I am going to be the range master for 4 level 2 matches and the match director for Area 3. So, in addition, I think my club has ran, I don't know, 25 or 30 matches, club matches. So that's I mean, almost 40 USPSA matches that I've been part of staff, and I've shot lots more than that. I've been all over. I went up to Michigan and shot the match with Alex Mansfield. He had a great match, nice range. I got to meet Rick Steele in person. That was pretty cool. Rick's a good guy. I've been to a lot of different matches. It's a lot of fun. I go this weekend. the Fall Classic in the Missouri Fall Classic. Their range master, something came up and he had to drop, and I picked this up just a couple weeks ago.
That was nice of you to do.
Gonna go over there, and I'm excited. It'll be my first trip to that range, and going over on Thursday. Gonna shoot walk stages Thursday, shoot Friday, work Saturday, and then they have a awards banquet and shoot off on Sunday. And I'm curious to see what that's like.
I've heard about that. They have like a handicap system where you, based on classification and division, some way they try to mirror it up. So it's, it's person on person, but regardless of what division or skill level they are.
Yep. Well, I'm looking for something. 2024 is going to be the 10th Iowa section championship that Andrew and I have done together. And so we're going to have something special. At a minimum, we're going to have a party Saturday night at the range, at a minimum, with food and everything. So, make plans now. We are going to try to really roll out the red carpet for all our competitors and make it the best time possible.
You know what we need is like double Osceola table stages. That's nothing would say celebration like those. I do love some 10 to 18 hit factor stages.
Yeah. Joel did one for the Gram. It was there, man.
Now that little turd Scott Brown beat me. I wanted to have a stage win, but it didn't quite happen.
Yeah, well, Scott Brown's he's just a great shooter.
He's fantastic.
But I think we'll bring back the 40-yard minis.
Okay.
Yeah. People like those.
Of course they do.
Or the double swinger stage that accounted for over 80 mics.
Yeah.
Out of 200 competitors.
Ooh.
Yeah. I've had several people this year. The stage has got really great reviews. I've had several people that have contacted me for the designs and write-ups on them, and I owe some people some emails on those. So that's kind of cool. The retreat stage where you had the choice to shoot the swinger at 20 yards or run back all the way to the front of the stage and get it closer. That was I saw a lot of different plans on that. I mean, how many on your squad? You think a couple, 3, 4?
Yeah, I'll say 4 at least.
Yeah.
Especially how they split up the back half. There was a lot of variations.
Yeah.
And I guess just like quickly talking about that match, I liked it because none of the shots were really that difficult, but people were trying to go hard at them, which caused drag on, drag off, trigger freeze, missing their position, trying to flow through somewhere where they may be moving a little bit more quicker than they could track the targets. So the stage was relatively simple or easy, but trying to round the corners and play time attack.
We used very few no shoots. I think there were 2 places in the entire match that had a no shoot, but we had a reasonable amount of hard cover that people disrespected at their detriment. Yeah.
Stage 1 was very very difficult too. There's like 500 ways to do that stage.
That was Ross Rutford did all the initial designs and did a great job. I did the written stage procedures, and then we tweaked them a little bit on the ground. Because we all know you draw something up, or even use the Tinker toys like Ross did.
Yeah.
And when it hits the ground, you're just like, oh, this is not good.
The magic's all in the setup.
Yeah. And I have my setup crew. I can't tell you how good they are.
Honestly, our RO crew is quite fantastic also. Again, I don't mean to just like spend all night patting Scott on the back, but sometimes when you go to a match, there's an RO, somebody that for whatever reason, they just like to show you they have authority, or, I mean, whatever. Sometimes those kind of things, personality issues happen. The thing I like the ROs at Scott's Club, they just all row in the same direction. So there's really not any personality issues. They all get along well as a team, and then they're friendly to the competitors. Yep. So like everybody just has a good experience. It just works out well.
Yeah, we have a good time. So I got to set the bar pretty high. I don't know if we'll have air conditioned restrooms again, but
that was a fun one.
That was we had one year. One of our sponsors was a like a Kaibo, a porta potty service, and they rolled out a full on multi-stall air conditioned running water bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And I asked him what it would cost to do that, and it was
expensive.
thousands of dollars. And I'm like, I appreciate the sponsorship, but $2,000 potty is not in the budget.
No.
But it was cool.
I'm sure the competitors appreciated it because
They did, because it was hot it was warm that year.
It was.
And so it was nice to, you can get in there and get out of the heat for, however long it took you to get things done, and running water and everything flushed. And it was basically a mobile home that was just bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. The thing was monstrous too.
It was.
It was. It was. So.
Never seen such a thing. Anyway, appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. This was good, I think. I have no doubt there will be a lot of comments, feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess one more thing, Scott, I appreciate you're always willing to talk to people. So I remember at Area 3 doing prize patrol. It's like, nope, Scott, you should go with me. People are going to talk to you. It's like, you're like, okay, after this, I'll be over in the pavilion. Come find me. Anytime at the Iowa section match, it seems like where you ride around in your go-kart or your golf cart, whenever you'd stop, somebody always want to climb into the passenger seat and talk your ear off. So I do appreciate you make yourself available. People do feel like the feedback I get is they felt like you were actually listening to them, not that you were just kind of shaking your head and like just appeasing them so they'd move on.
I'm serious when I say that, I serve the membership, right? I think Frank feels the same way.
Absolutely.
They put us here to get a job done, and I'm doing it the best way I can. I'm not perfect. There are a handful of votes that I in retrospect would like to take back, and I think about those every time when I cast another vote to make sure, is this really the best choice?
Yeah,
and sometimes that. it's the least worst.
Sure.
Yeah, I felt like that a couple of times, and I'm sure people have noticed that it seems like I'm the person on the board always voting no. And I don't do that just to vote no, just for the hell of it. That's because that's what I truly believe. If I don't think the board is making the right decision, I'm not going to vote for it. If I think we should be doing something different, I'm not going to vote for it.
Well, you voted no even on times where you were so outnumbered. Like whether you voted yes or no, it was going to happen anyway. Like you effectively could not swing the vote, if I'm making sense.
Yep.
But like you still vote no, even knowing they're probably not going to appreciate it. And either way you vote, it's not going to make a difference.
Correct.
In that instance, because you didn't have numbers.
Correct. But you know what? It matters to me. So the members know where I stand and how I feel. If I try to answer every email that's sent to me directly, we got a lot of emails.
Sure.
Yeah. We got a lot of people that email the board, and I don't always answer all the emails that are sent to the whole board. But if you email me directly, I guarantee you I will answer it eventually. I will get to it. So I do listen to the members. I do respond. So if anyone has anything that they want to share with me, and that's one of the reasons that I put the stuff about the categories on the agenda. That came from members. They emailed me and said, "Hey, listen, we want you to do something about this," and that's why I put it on the agenda to be discussed. So, I listen as best I can, and I'm going to vote, the way I feel. And even if I'm going to lose, that's okay.
Well,
I appreciate you being willing to do that. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Boards shouldn't always have unanimous votes.
I agree.
They are on this board. There are 9 different people, 9 different backgrounds, 9 different lives. If we're all agreeing all the time, I gotta wonder, is something wrong?
Mm-hmm. My board at my home club, there are 13 members of the board, and I've told them frequently. I was like, listen, if we all agree on everything, then most of you are not needed. I don't need everybody to agree. I want to hear your opinions. I want you to disagree. I want to have discussions on this stuff, so we can come to the best decision possible for the members, for the club. You know, if everybody agrees all the time, there's something wrong there. We
Right.
don't need to always agree.
Right.
You know, debate is good. Disagreeing is good. It's healthy. You know, so we come to the best decision possible.
Yeah, at our local gun club meetings, I'll often like there's a couple people by name, like, hey, so am I just talking crazy? Like, what do you think? You're not talking. You have to have a vote here, otherwise there's no reason to have you around. Yeah, just because.
I've done that too. I've sat there at the front of the table and I've called board members out. I was like, I'm looking at a board member and say, hey, you know, what do you think about this? I want to hear
Yeah.
your opinion. And then I get something totally different. He wasn't going to say anything, you know, until I called him out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how this should be. I want to hear everyone's opinion.
The only qualifier I would put on that is
Sure.
professional disagreement.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, like screaming and swearing or threatening to beat you up in the parking lot's not really constructive for anybody.
No, it's not. No, we need to maintain professionalism. We need to maintain decorum. You know, I have no problem having a debate with anyone or disagreeing with someone. We could agree to disagree and be respectful of each other. You know, one of my personal heroes, I like to follow the Supreme Court a lot, especially being in New York. I keep up on the laws and what's going on. So Justice Antonin Scalia, I tell a lot of people this. He was one of my personal heroes.
Yep.
And his best
Yep.
friend was Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yep.
The complete opposite ends of the spectrum, literally total opposites. And yet they were one, you know, they were very, very close friends.
Yep.
You know, if they could be close friends, you know, we could all get along. You know,
I agree.
no matter what end of the spectrum we're on, no matter, you know, what our views are, we could all get along and be respectful of each other.
Absolutely.
And so
In USPSA, we're all on the spectrum, I can assure you.
Yeah.
I agree.
One last thing I do want to say it. There's a lot of members that I've replied to email with, and if they look, my cell phone, my personal cell phone number is down there by my name. I put that in on purpose. You know, I may not answer, but if you've got something and you want an answer in a timely manner, don't hesitate to call me. Again, I might not pick up. I will always call you back if you leave a message. You know, transparency is a continuing theme on feedback to the board, and communication through speaking is much more efficient. My typing skills are adequate, but not necessarily. Occasionally, I can't even get it close enough for spell check. So, I'm comfortable talking on the phone. Call me. You know, if you want to know what's going on, and you know, as long as they all understand, just like tonight, there are times where I just have to tell you I can't talk about that.
Sure. I get it. Yeah, and you're probably I appreciate for both of you the effort and transparency, even though I know you're not making any new friends probably by doing this, but it is nice to know what's going on and to get some more insight into the sometimes quite vague minutes. So
well, hopefully we're making new friends with the members.
This is
people
true.
Who we work for.
Bro, based on my phone and how many DMs I have, yes, you are making new friends and people cannot wait to listen to this. Because, yeah, the DMs and the comments are flooding in. So anyway.
Every other podcast I've done, I've gotten a lot of great feedback. Everyone tends to thank me, you know, thanks for doing this. You know, we know you put a lot of time in, and this is even more time. You know, yeah, we should, you know, Frank, we should think about doing this after every meeting. Just as soon as we can get your, you know, I can kick my kids out of the house and you get yours to go to sleep.
Yes. Yeah, I would have no problem with that. I actually really enjoyed this tonight.
Perfect. Well, and if any of your fellow board members are interested, they're more than welcome. So yeah, I would love to have you guys on. This is good just to get some added feedback and a perspective on what's going on. So
yeah, that'd be
great.
Perfect. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll hit record so I can drop this yet tonight. Anyway, thank you guys both for your time and letting me riddle you with questions. This was very good.
Joel, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joel.
My pleasure.